Welcome to the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. Each week, Aaron connects melodies and memories with fans and artists from all genres of life. When all else in life is gone, only music will be left to leave the legacy of life's adventures. Please welcome your host for the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
How you guys doing tonight? Let's see. If you're on the chat, you guys are in, just kind of drop me something, let me guys know you're there. Let's see, I'm trying to get it on my phone over here, and it's saying this can't play the video. So I want to make sure we're live, everything's going before I start running into all the fun stuff. You guys know how it is. You're always my testing audience. There we are. I think we're live. We're good to go. So guys, welcome to episode 38. Man, episode 38 already. Okay, read this. All right. Welcome to episode 38 of Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver, and this is a place where we're going to connect some melodies and memories tonight with both fans and artists in the music community. We share stories and chat about how our passions have brought us all together. Tonight, we are presented by our good friends over at Arlo Revolution. You saw the awesome video there at the intro. Cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them on Facebook and at arlorevolution.com. And also to our on-screen sponsors, Art on a Higher Wire by Joel, Janet Stoltz Creative, and Corey Oliphant and the Original Church Choir. Once again, thank you guys all so damn much for being a part of this show. And everybody that's part of our Patreon. It's going to be a fun night. I'm really excited for tonight. So if you guys are always looking for ways to support the show, Patreon, as I mentioned, is one of our biggest. If you can't, share. If you guys could share anything for us, especially the show tonight. And then when we do hit Apple, iTunes, iHeart, all Spotify on Thursday, any 5-star reviews and shares help us spread the word. We did crack the top 100 in iTunes or Apple Music interviews again. So that was a huge one. And I don't know why we were doing so good in Greece, but you guys, I'm telling you, if you're listening in Greece, hit me up, because we were top 50 in Greece for like 2 weeks straight. And I don't know who's listening over there. So if you are listening, I'm going to hook you up with some show merch. Just let me know. But tonight, speaking of show merch and Patreon, we do have our June Patreon, $30 Whiskey Riff gift card, $25 Chief merch gift card, and then a copy of Jeremy Spillman's Divine Devils autograph copy. Once again, amazing book. I'm almost through the whole thing. And I mean, it's blown away by it. You guys heard him talk about it a couple weeks ago when he was on the show. And definitely, you don't have a copy of it, get one, or join the Patreon. You'll probably win it, because I got about 3 or 4 more autograph copies I'm gonna be giving away here shortly. I'll drop the link in the chat, and there we go. Hey, hello from Boston. So that's nice. Yeah, totally. Tell me you don't know where you guys are at. Hit me up. So, but before we go into tonight's show, I was gonna look up the songwriters on this song. And I do apologize, but I went on a little road trip this weekend with the Kip family. And I always try to listen to some new music, and I heard a new song on the radio, and it really kind of captured everything that was going on in the world right now. And if you guys haven't heard of Mickey Gainin, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I do apologize. Her name. Hey, Johnson, how you doing? So, yeah, save your question. We'll throw it. But if you guys have not heard this song, I'll play a little snippet right now.
We live in the land of the free. You should try to be all that.
So if you guys have not heard that song yet, I urge you to go listen to it, because it's really a powerful song, and especially where I've been working lately and hearing all the different things going on in the world, and then a song like that. And I think that's where music really finds a good opening in the world and where we connect to it. So if you haven't heard the new Mickey Gainin song, I do definitely urge you to go check it out. But tonight, we are going to welcome in singer-songwriter and producer Luke Dick. You may be familiar with a few of his songs from artists like Eric Church, Kip Moore, Miranda Lambert. But let's bring him on, and we're going to talk to him, get to know him a little bit better. All right. So, how you doing, buddy?
What's up? You got a
I had to have
Oklahoma song bringing me in, huh?
What was that?
You got an Oklahoma song bringing me in.
I had to have your Oklahoma song, buddy.
I went to high school with those guys.
Oh, Cross Canadian?
Yeah, they ran sound for my first. I had a rock band in high school, and they ran sound for us for our first show. They were a few years older, and
awesome,
good buddies. Kind of a small world. You should play that.
Yeah, dude, it was one I pulled for when I was gonna have you on before, and we had to reschedule. And I had a buddy that actually lives in Oklahoma. I don't know what town, But I had him on, and when he was on, I played that as his intro too. Just
Awesome.
let's throw it on there, and why not? So how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm good, man. Just living a little different life, and got a lot of kids around here that don't have any place to go. So I'm trying to write music and be in the world, and also retrieve popsicles and break up fights now and again. And so here
How
I
old
am.
is your youngest?
I've got 8 months,
Oh,
3.5, and then 6, and then 19. So
wow, man.
a little gap there.
Yeah, I got a 3 and 6-year-old, but man, it's crazy.
A lot of
Life is
stuff.
strange.
There's a lot of needs around here.
So I want to talk to you kind of what got you started in all this. So I just finished. I talked to you a little earlier. I watched Red Dog a few times, and
Yeah.
so when you hit your teens and you kind of left the Red Dog per se, and you started your musical journey, where did you start at?
I was always really into music, and I had some uncles that played music, but there were no guitars like in our house or anything. And so around the 5th grade, I grew up in a really small school, really small town in Oklahoma, and you could, in the 5th grade, you got your option. You could either take they call a class called newspaper, which you basically read the Daily Oklahoman, and then you'd have to write reports on whatever article that you read, or you could take band. And we didn't have much money, and I felt guilty. I didn't want to have my parents try to afford a saxophone. It seemed like they were thousands of dollars or something. In retrospect, there were a lot of people playing things, but I was in newspaper, and you can imagine how excited a 5th grader is to read the Daily Oklahoman every day. And so I heard that drumsticks were $5. And so I was like, well, I've got $5. I could do that without putting it on my parents. And drums were the coolest thing anyway. So I started playing the drums in marching band and pep band and traveling to football games and stuff like that. And then I was always into rock music and country music. And so I would bought a kit, worked all summer, bought a kit, and I put it in this little chicken coop behind our house and would play and practice. And then there wasn't much of a band scene there. Too small of a town. There's like 2 people that played, music. And then I lived with my dad in 9th grade, and there were lots more people that played in Yukon where I moved to. Mm-hmm. And so I found a group of guys, and we started playing, and it was pretty good. We ended up with a little regional record deal, and then a few years later broke up, and I started making my own music, writing my own stuff, singing my own stuff, and then kind of got into songwriting for other people, and moved here to Nashville and failed in terms of nobody cut my songs, and I didn't get a record deal. It was about the time Eric was getting a record deal, actually.
So that was so this was the time. Did you have something like set up when you were moving or coming to Nashville? You had something like set up, and then you lost touch around like Jackson, Tennessee.
There was somebody who I had a publishing deal to come to Nashville, but it ended up just not leading to much. I had made a few relationships, and a few people remembered who I was, and a few people were big champions of me, but those big champions didn't really ever lead to anything that meant anything other than just somebody that said they liked you. So I had gone to college the whole time and finished a master's degree, and I was teaching, and my girlfriend at the time was moving to New York. And so I just said, I guess I'll move to New York and get a PhD, and I'll teach and play music on the side. And then one thing led to another, and I ended up coming back here and doing a publishing deal with my current publisher, Arturo Buenajora, who works with Eric. And he's like, I really think that you and Eric could write great stuff, and I love what you do, and it's different. And
that's a little louder, right?
That's a little louder. That's a little louder with Jeff Hyde and Arturo and Eric, and then
Tucker's part of that. Tucker Bethard, right?
Tucker and Casey Bethard, younger writers, Sherwood. These couple new younger guys, Jackson Dean coming up, who I'm
Okay.
producing. He's fresh. He's like 19, and then a couple guys named boy named Banjo, another band. So we're and Ryan Tyndall, who was on
Okay.
Springsteen too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a little boutique with some weird writers that are off the beaten path of Music Row, and
Yeah.
it's a cool crew. We hang out and high five when we're around each other, but we all kind of keep to ourselves, and write our own songs, and then we show up when it's time to make a record for somebody and make it happen.
So what was your first cut? Your first radio cut?
My first radio cut, I'm pretty sure it was Kill a Word.
Okay.
Eric had.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that one a little later.
Yeah, we can talk more about it later, but that was the first radio cut, and then gosh, I want to say that my second radio cut was Round Here Buzz, and then some other,
Nice.
and then there was a Dirks, and there was a Jared Neiman, and then there was a Kip, and then a Miranda. It all started.
You came out of the gate swinging with those two.
Yeah. It was kind of the luckiest day of my life so far, in terms of making something of myself and having my songs and creativity get out there. And I'm around good people, and so you put your heads together and come up with the best thing that you can come up with,
For sure. Now, do you prefer performing or songwriting? If you had to pick one or the other,
Wow, it's just such
could
a
you pick
different,
or no?
It's a different headspace, There was such a time in my life where I just wanted to make records and was enamored with the Beatles and how they got to just be creative all the time, and I still love that. There's still nothing like being struck by the muse with an idea or a sound or something like that in your studio, late at night or whatever. It's still really, really special to me. But then it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I was playing a songwriter night, and it was like you start seeing the songs connect to people and have the realization that music is made for people, and you can have an inspiration is made for a person, is one person or two people who are writing the song or whatever, and that's a really special and magical thing that I hope that everybody can experience at some point in their life. But then connecting that song to people out there, it's a really awesome thing. And I love playing with just my guitar. And then I love going out. We go do runs with my band, Steve. And we go out there, and it's awesome. You have strangers and old friends or whatever coming out to play, and or coming out to be a part of an experience, and you see that when you go to Eric's shows too. It's just like guys like you, who go and check out all these shows, and it's such an experience and a collective experience that really what music was designed for. I hate to say designed.
Yeah.
It was part of our just human culture, to connect with each other about grief or about the crops or whatever, early on, and
So I heard you quote, and you actually
this.
said, music is part of being human
It
at one
totally
point.
is.
Yeah, and I feel that. I mean, and that's why I dropped a little teaser of a new song that's out right now, and I was talking to a couple people at work today about that song, and it's a really powerful time to release a song like that, and it's really changing times right now. But I also feel like, and we'll discuss this in a little bit, but with Kill a Word, I feel like Kill a Word is definitely very prominent right now with everything going on in the world.
Yeah, that song I was still so proud that something to me so meaningful or full of full of ideas, was able to be something that I could be a part of. And also that was sort of my foray into commercial success, to have a song that I was really proud of. And I like all kinds of music, and I don't begrudge people listening to, and there's songs to sort of make you remember and songs to make you forget, and it's good to have a party song about a Friday night or whatever.
Yeah.
People need that. but it's, it's also
You need real
rare
depth too.
to sneak in there with something,
Mhm.
with some conceptual juice to it. And I felt like, wow, we got to be a part of something and be a part of it, be a part of making something. And it was special to me.
So tell me, real quick. I know you were you had Republican here for a while, and you guys pulled the plug like last September or so, and went to Steve.
Yeah.
It was it mainly just political, like just because I know I've heard before, but I'm in marketing, so I know how Facebook
Yeah.
algorithms work and everything else, and
Well,
it's hard.
it's a really kind of a boring tech story,
Mhm.
and that, promoting shows after, um, after uh, the after the Russians tampering, with Facebook and creating fake accounts and stuff like that, they
Right.
cracked down on all political ads. And so ours would get flagged as political ads, and we couldn't promote shows. Like it was really hard to promote shows in towns.
Yep.
So I was just like, I don't want this fight. I don't want to fight this fight. I don't. We could call the band the Gremlins. I don't care. Whatever. I just want to make music, and I want people to know that when we're playing. And so, I was never really loyal to a name. I'm just loyal to making songs and music that I love.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I love it. I think it's great, and you just didn't want to deal with the bullshit. And you said, "Out with the
Mhm.
bullshit, and let's just keep on." I mean, the music is what
Yeah,
matters.
the gloves kind of came off around 2015, which was when I made the
Mhm.
band, or about 2016 or whatever, and the gloves kind of came off in the world, and I didn't see that coming. It before that, when you said the word Republican, people thought about, Ronald Reagan and stuff, and
Yeah.
that's different. Marine haircuts and stuff like that. That's different than what it is now. And not to be, I don't want to be derogative or anything, to anybody, or so. I'm just like, I don't want anybody thinking that there's a connotation happening other than, I'm here to make music and here to have fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's your focus point. I mean, if
Mhm.
anything else is gonna get in your way, then why let it? I mean, because you have enough uphill battle as it is
Yeah,
with the music. That
sure. If you want to talk about issues or something like that, let's go have a cup of coffee and we can talk about that kind of stuff.
exactly. So, before we really get into the meat of the whole episode tonight, which is the Red Dog, I do want to talk about kind of your producing now with music. So you produced the latest Kip Moore album, Wild World. How is it working with Kip Moore? Because he just
Kip's
to me
Kip's
feels like
great.
chill.
Yeah, Kip's great, and, I'll say, I produced a song on his record, and I produced a song or
Mhm.
two on his last record too. And Kip comes in here, and a lot of the stuff that happens in my studio, like with Dirks or whatever, um, I mean, I have a project studio where I'm making sounds all the time, and usually when I write a song, I'm producing it, and working hard to make it interesting, not just throwing a guitar down or something.
Yeah.
It's part of what I love to do, what I love about music, and so I've just incorporated it into my songwriting. And so when we turn out a quote unquote demo, um, to show what the song is, it's pretty fleshed out in terms of what it sounds like. And so, um, a couple of those songs, like Kip, the, like the Bull, or
Mhm.
Red, White, and Blue Jean, um, they were already done, or Kip, said, can you do that? Can you take what you have and do X to it or something? And so I would just work it up here in my studio, and then we'd go maybe do some drums in another studio, and then he'd come over and sing. So some of these things were full service productions from day one, and he would just take them,
Yeah.
and put his vocal on it or whatever. And then, like on the Dirks record, a lot of my guitar parts or whatever, I would just fly them to the producer, and they would use them in the record.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You feel like Kip might be one of the most underrated artists we have right now?
Yeah, his shows are really powerful, and
Exactly. Yeah.
he's gaining steam, and I'm hoping, we're always hoping, the
Mhm.
people that you put your time into and you believe in, it's like, it's like we're always hoping this is your year,
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Kip is filling up theaters and stuff like
Oh.
that. So it's not like
His acoustic tour was phenomenal.
yeah. And it's just like, we just need a couple of those ones, man, to break him over and, and get him sort of Coliseum.
I know you guys work with Charlie Worsham a lot too, correct?
Yeah, Charlie's great. He's a
phenomenal guitar player. Yeah,
phenomenal talent. So he was my neighbor for a while, and we would hang out and grill out on the back porch and stuff. And he didn't have any at the time. He didn't have a wife or kids or anything, so he's always looking for something to do. And I was always here, whatever, feeding the chickens or raising the kids or whatever. He'd come down and we'd play some guitar and eat whatever was going on that night.
So we're going to try to get you to play a little later some of your songwriting songs. But one song I do want to touch on before we move on is definitely the latest one that Eric's been teasing a little bit. And I know if you're part of his fan club, you got a little sneak peek of it. But Never Break Heart, man. You got to tell me a little story with that one. Like, just how was writing that one with him? Because that's a pretty powerful song.
Yeah. Thanks. I was in Maui doing the songwriter festival for BMI, and I had read this Norwegian children's book about death, and it was like kind of a grandmother talking to grandkids, and it was about you can cry but don't ever break. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, there's something there, in terms of a song. And so I was like, what if you personified a heart? And I just wrote this line, go on, get born, heart, let your mama keep you warm, heart. And there may have been some other lines, and I just texted it to Eric, and I'm like, I think this is a cool idea for a song. And I knew he was going to start writing soon. And so I just texted it to him. He's like, I love that. And then he came back with 3 or 4 of the lines that were in the chorus and with a little melody to it. And I was like, that sounds great. And so as soon as I got back, he popped over here to the studio. I'm sitting in my studio, and he popped over here one night, and we just wrote it. And I'm really proud. I mean, I'm excited for everyone to hear it when it comes out, because it's really cool. And I just loved how the lyrics came together, and it was a night well spent. I always like writing with him because he's got
challenges you, don't he?
Huh?
He challenges you.
He's a challenge. But it's easy, and we sort of bring out the best in each other, and everybody feels like they have direct. When we're writing together, I feel like everybody has direction. Everybody's feeling inspired, and the energy is happening, and so.
It seems like he comes prepared, though. He knows he knows the direction he wants to go and where he wants to be at. And
it's a great thing about a great artist, Great artists are just come in swinging, and me and him and Casey Bethard wrote a few on the new record, and we would meet every morning, and Casey and I would come in with something, and Casey would come in with something, then Eric would show up with something. And it's like we'd write two songs, maybe 3 songs, and then go into the studio and work it up. And it's like, man, that's powerful,
Did you go on that trip with all of them January?
Yeah. There was a lot of writers that would show up, but then it'd be 2 or 3 writers at a time, and then you go record. And so me and Casey were out there together, and I don't know.
Have you ever done anything like that with anybody else?
What's
Is that just like unheard of? Like where an artist just kind of loads up his whole crew and just brings you to North
Not
Carolina?
To that extent to me. Dirks did something where it was like we did a writer's trip up to Telluride, and there was a couple of houses where there's a bunch of us writers writing songs, and then he went back there to record, which was cool. Yeah. This was like everything all at once, and it was it was way more exhausting, where it's like I just wake up thinking about songs. I do my best to come up with some songs. Then we all bring the songs together. We finish the songs, and then we go and Jay and Eric would figure out what they wanted to cut that night. And then maybe I would play, maybe I would just sit there. Maybe I'd sing back up later or whatever.
I really hope he documented some of that, because it just sounded like it would be a fly on the wall that whole trip, man. It sounded
and it was great. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of playing, a lot of sitting and waiting. That's music, and you like travel 4 or 5 hours to get to the next town, and then you set it up, and then you rehearse it, or you do the sound check, and then you wait 5 more hours, and then the opening band comes on or whatever, and then you play your show for 90 minutes, and then you get off and do it again.
All right, so I want to move on and talk about pretty much what brought you here tonight, man, and that is Red Dog.
Yeah.
I stumbled across it when I was really kind of looking at who I want to bring on this show and who has new stuff. And I found Jeremy Spillman in his new book. And I'm like, oh, we'll definitely bring him on to promote that. But then I discovered your Red Dog. But I discovered it after the Kickstarter ended. But you started this with Kickstarter a few years back, huh?
Yeah. I was living in New York when I started the project, and my creative partner on visual stuff and movies, a fellow Okie that I randomly met in New York, and I just started interviewing my mom, and it was when I was getting into film, and I had just did some audio interviews with her, and they were so interesting, and I would cut them together and put music to them. And Casey said, "Man, this would make a great record, if you were to do these little interviews." Then I bought a camera and then took it out there and filmed her telling stories, and then we started cutting it, and then life happens, and I end up writing songs and really focusing on songwriting, and then but we still had amassed a lot of film of her, not knowing exactly how we would put it all together. And I met a rep from Kickstarter here, and Jim Legrando, and he's like, "This is a really great project. I really think you should do Kickstarter. We'll help you promote it, and I promise you won't be sorry." And at the time I was like, I don't really need money to do it. I mean, I could do it myself. And he was like, "Just trust me, just do it." And so I did it, and I was really glad because it was like this little regional kind of viral thing in Oklahoma, because it's such a notorious rite of passage in Oklahoma. It's been there for 65 years or so. And so people came out of the woodworks, and there were new interview subjects, and there were different dancers reaching out to me wanting to share their stories or whatever. And so it became another research tool, and also tapped into 300 or 400 people who contributed to the project, who became partners, and were excited about the project enough to contribute. And I was really thankful for that. And also there was good press just out of nowhere there. So then it took me, after that Kickstarter, it took us still another couple of years to finish off the project and get it to the film festival circuit. And then ended up with getting a distribution deal, and then Amazon and Hulu and all this business. And now the record's done, and we're going to put it out in late summer. So I'm excited about that. But it's been a really labor intensive and creatively fulfilling project, and most favorite things that I've done, just in terms of the scope of it. And I'm hoping to do more of that kind of stuff in the future too.
Well, definitely it captures your background, and it's more than just a documentary of a strip club. I mean, of an older strip club. It has a lot of backbone to the whole story, and characters. I mean, there's a lot of characters, and I mean, from Tiny to Nasty Kathy, and I finally sat down and watched it with my wife last night. We kind of just broke it down a little bit, and I was really watching it, and a couple parts of it. So Tiny was a tattoo artist at one point, and he was like doing prison tattoos.
Yeah.
Now, you showed a bunch of pictures around that. Were those pictures the actual tattoos he created?
That those were tattoos of the women who got tattoos from that era.
Okay.
The one that my mom has is like on her inner thigh, and she's no way she's gonna let me photograph that for the film. I wouldn't do that to her anyway. But it's it's so funny because it's like, you remember your mom in a bathing suit or whatever growing up, and it's like she had a tattoo, and I didn't think much of it. And then he was one. This is a weird story. I drove forklift during college, and for Yellow Freight, which is now YRS, Yellow Roadway. My grandfather was a lifelong roadway driver.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, a guy who drove forklift and would come to my shows when I was playing in Oklahoma. He hit me with a Facebook and he's like, "Hey, my cousin says he knows your mom." And I was getting so many emails at the time where it was like hard to differentiate bullshit from, a real lead or something. And I was like, I didn't respond. And then he sent me a picture of this guy and Tiny, who came to be Tiny. And I just grabbed it and texted it to my mom. I'm like, "You know this guy?" He says his name's Tiny, says he knows you. And my mom responded. She said, "Oh, fuck yeah, that's Tiny. He did my first tattoo." And I was like, "All right, this is something," And so I called him on the phone, and it's every time you talk to him on the phone, it's like sometimes it's like your uncle who can you kind of make out what he's saying, but you don't know exactly what's going on, And I called him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm back in Oklahoma. The statute of limitations ran out, so I came back here." And it's like what he leads with, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't need to hear anymore. When can I come to your house? With the camera." and he's just such a vivid character with a lot of interesting stories, and he's led an interesting life. What you can't get into everything in the movie because you don't want a 4-hour movie, but the guy, ended up, he was in biker gangs and, sort of petty crime, and then went to California and became an underwater welder. He had, and he was saying all this stuff, and I was like, wow, how can one person do all this stuff? And it's like you can't make fact from fiction when people are saying stuff. And then I went to college. I was a counselor in prisons up in New York, and and then I came in his house after that. We did the interview outside. I came in his house. It was a beautiful day in Maud, Oklahoma. Came in his house, and there's like picture of him underwater with diving gear on. Then there's this like all of his stuff, his army accolades, and then there's his his college stuff. And I'm like, wow, this guy's no bullshit. He's somebody who has really lived a life.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. If anybody is in chat or watching this or is listening to this back on streaming, definitely check out Red Dog. It released earlier this year, right? January was the release date. It finally came out, and so I know I picked it up right away and was just watching bits and pieces, and it's amazing, guys, because the different stories that we jump around to, and then right smack dab, like you have a kidnapping story.
Yeah, the kidnap story.
And then, but it was nothing. It was kind of like, okay, it was a good thing.
I mean, for anybody who's listening who doesn't have a reference for this, it's the Red Dog is a strip joint in Oklahoma City. It's been around forever, and my mom was the dancer there when she was 16, and that's where she met my biological dad. And so I just started talking to her about, what was the weirdest story that ever happened there? And then it became really interesting and sort of marked her life in a way that I thought was, not only were there like wild, crazy stories, but it's life stuff about people getting through things and then coming out the other side and raising kids and being wild, and then sort of taming themselves a bit, and then what the aftermath is, and what's human, and it's not what it seems, which I was really happy with.
Yeah, it was definitely everything about it. So let me see where I go. So yeah, we talked about soundtrack. So you guys share was this your first story of smoking weed, or your first Nasty Kathy smoking weed story?
I mean, it was like, that was the first time that I remember being really ripped,
You got to share that story.
Yeah, it was my mom's best friend's name was Nasty Kathy, and I was probably 14 or something, and I found, if you're old enough, remember the little the little film cases, like for 35 millimeter film. I found one in the console of my mom's car, and I opened it up, and there were a few buds in there, and so I just grabbed one and called my buddy, and I said, I found this stuff in my mom's car. And well, the first time I did it, I did it alone, and I had taken this is like real jank. I'd taken a 30-30 shell and drilled a hole in the 30-30 shell in two of them, and then taped them together with a screen in between, and so I could put the bud in one side, and the other side was the hole, and so I just made a little homemade pipe to smoke it in. No stores around to get zigzag papers out in the middle of nowhere. And so anyway, that's what I did, and then like I was coughing on it, and then realized that it was like, oh my God, my skin is crawling. And I walked in the house and had dinner, and I was a little bit numb, and I I tell this story in the movie. It was like I really thought I was pissing my pants. I couldn't tell. I'm looking down and verifying if I was pissing my pants or not. And Mom is like, what's going on with you? Why are you acting? I was like, I just, feeling a little sick. I need to go to bed. Just 8:00 bedtime, and I go in the bedroom. And later on, my mom tells me that this later on in life, Mom's like, yeah, that was Nasty Kathy, which was her best friend, who was a former dancer at the Red Dog too. It was her weed, and they had this hydroponic farm in their house back, before it was legalized in Oklahoma, and so that was their business after Oklahoma. And there's this whole saga with her son turning them in to the cops and stuff like this. It's crazy, and it's a really sad point to me of the film, because
it is, yeah.
They never quite make up, and but it's these.
Well, the last
These
time they saw each other was like his grandfather's funeral,
stuff like that,
Like they ran into each other at a funeral and didn't even speak to one another. And it's like,
the mom and the son, Nasty Kathy and Russell,
it was like your mom really tried hard to get Kathy to talk to her again, but it's like she didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's a curious thing. My mom choosing friends, and I'm just like, wow, that sounds really awful for a parent to do. But my mom's a pretty loyal person, and they had their friendship, and it meant something to her, and she carried it, until the end.
You could tell she was loyal, especially with all the kind of like when she goes back to the lake there and Lake Overholser.
Yeah,
She's kind of talking about driving around it and how she wished she could just drive around one more time with all of her friends that wasn't able to be there.
And it's not even a fancy lake. I mean, it's just this little reservoir in Oklahoma, but it's just something that you remember.
It meant something.
Everybody's got one. I mean, I just remember making out with my girlfriend in high school by Overholser. I mean, it's like so meaningful. Geography is so meaningful to you.
Exactly. You always have. I mean, there's a spot where my grandfather and we used to always go, and we'd walk this street, and we'd pick up cans. He'd have his little stick with the nail on it.
Right. Yeah.
We'd pick up our cans and we'd cash them in. That'd be my money. And I'll still, to this day, I'll drive down that road. I'll still see me and him walking down the street and picking up the cans. And that's my go-to. So
that's great.
my stories on that. But yeah, so Red Dog, I mean, that was just your life story that you thought kind of sum up of like how you grew up. But now going into it, it sounded like there was a lot of kids around. I mean, was there a lot of other dancers' kids other than a couple?
I remember other kids being around. There were only like 2 or 3 others that I remember their name, and Russell was the only one that I found. But then the movie came out, and it came out on Hulu, picked it up, and so I got an email from another kid that I remembered from the time, and really, I mean, just play friends as kids, And anyway, she reached out and said, you probably won't respond to this. You might even not remember me, but Charlotte and our parents were friends, and I was like, yeah, I totally know your parents, and I remember staying in their apartment, a few times, and then babysitting together and stuff like that. So to get reconnected to formative friendships like that, and then also, I don't know that most of the people who work there, there's a special bond, that they had with each other.
And it's the same family that still owns it, huh? From back in the
Same
day.
family that still owns it. Yeah. Ray's a bit older, and the son has taken over. I'm sure it's not so hopping right now with the COVID, but
Yeah. I don't even know. I think Wisconsin just opened up theirs again. I don't know if any. I
right,
don't even know if any strip clubs are even open right now.
right.
So I mean, they might be doing some curbside. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't
Wasn't
been.
it? Wasn't it somewhere that they had like a drive-through strip club or somewhere?
A drive-through?
I saw somebody post that like during all the COVID stuff, they had a drive-through somewhere.
That's
It
wild.
might have just been a tease on Facebook, you know how that goes. But
We did
yeah, there's a
we
bunch
did
of characters. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we did a screening in there. We did two sold out showings. It's a big place.
Yeah.
We did two sold out showings there with the local radio station called The Cat, which is like my education on Led Zeppelin, was all brought to me by The Cat, essentially. Triple play Thursday and get the lead out on Thursday night, and one of the morning guys was a contributor on the Kickstarter, and he's really cool and thoughtful guy, and just reached out and said, I want to help however I can. And so he put together a really cool screening over there when it was
neat.
Doing the festival circuits after South by Southwest and stuff. So
that is really neat to do all that and put that together like that. That is cool. So let's see. Go through all my notes here. But yeah, so you guys have not checked out Red Dog. It just got released on Hulu, you were saying, right? And then it's also on Amazon, Apple, or iTunes.
Yeah, pretty a lot. Most all the forms that you can find, that you can get it in, it's there.
So definitely, guys, go check it out. It's really good. I mean, you guys are gonna sit down, and I'm not gonna give anything else away. We're gonna talk about a little brief moment at the end of it, but check it out and let me know. Send me a message or whatever. Let me know you guys' feedback on it. I would love to know what you guys thought of it, because I really thought it. I connected a little bit with you on this, because I'm definitely a mama's boy in a way. And I'm an only child. Mm-hmm. And you're talking a lot about the end, you're talking about Killer Word, and kind of how it came full circle for you in a way when you saw tears coming down your dad's face and you actually took him to a show. Was it the Red Rock show you took him to?
This is just an insider info. It was actually the show at the Bridgestone that was a two night sellout at the Bridgestone, which was a record setter. Mm-hmm. And but the only footage I could get was the Red Rock. So it's a little bit of a discrepancy that nobody really cares about, but only you would notice that.
Yeah, right. Well, I was curious. I'm like, I wonder what that show was and everything, because I figured it's probably like Bridgestone or something like that. But it was definitely cool, because you always talk about like your parents seeing you succeed, and I was like that. I was always proud, like when I did succeed and my parents made a deal about it, because I was always felt like I was doing it for them, because I was always the product of my parents.
Yeah.
And you really make that proud and made that known, especially in the movie with your mom. So, because your mom never wanted to have kids because she didn't want to fail, right?
Yeah. She didn't feel like she was cut out to be a mother, and then wound up being one, and to me and my sister. And so it was a special thing, and it's still special. And it's hard to. I save information for my mom. We talk about life stuff when I call her every Sunday. And so we talk about what the kids are doing or whatever. And it's not, then she gets kind of mad at me because she has friends at work who are big country music fans. And they're like, well, Luke did this and Luke did that, or whatever, following the news or whatever. And she's like, I don't know anything about that, And so I usually save it like, hey, Mom, we got another number one or something like that, I saved the big ones, and she came out to a number one party and had a blast with me, and then got to go to some awards with me. And it was really cool, for her to be a part of a little bit of the red carpet experience,
I bet she was loving it. She is like one that would eat it up.
She was eating it up. At first she was like, "What are you doing? What are we doing?" I'm like, "Just come out. I got a ticket for you. Just come out. I'm gonna do this thing."
That is awesome. So
Yeah.
when you sat down and wrote Killer Word, so writing with Eric, when you go into it, we talked earlier, he already knows what he wants to do. He already knows his
Yeah.
direction. But you had part of Killer Word prior, didn't you?
Yeah, that was it, I mean, I had been in Nashville maybe a year or so, and he was coming off of Outsiders and working on the next record, what would be Mr. Misunderstood, um, and so I had a piece of music that Jeff Hyde and I had come up with, and I had I played a hook to Jeff with the like first verse and refrain for Killer Word, and he's so funny, he's like.
Jeff's hilarious, man.
He is hilarious. He's like, I really like that, Luke. It's really outside the box. And I'm like, cool. All right, let me put this guitar part down that, I played the song to. Let me put this guitar part down, and then we'll write a little bit more to it, not knowing what we would do with it. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to do this and send it to Eric. It was, so okay, cool. So I turned around after I put the guitar part, recorded it, and he had the whole second verse all written, and like not a word changed. So not a word changed from what I had, and then not a word changed from what he had. And I don't know, I just had a feeling about it, and I sent it to our publisher, Arturo, and I'm like, I think this is something different and cool. And he said, I think Eric will love this. Just stop right now and let me send it to him. And he sent it to Eric. He's like, I love it. He's like, well, let's get together. And so he came in with the give me sticks and give me stones, bend my butt, and it was funny because he came in with that, and I had scribbled out some ideas for if there was going to be a bridge or a bridge chorus, and it had some stick stones reference in there, and it was like, whoa, it's like so on the same path. And so that was intact, and so he had written all that himself, and then we sat down and wrote the third verse all together, and that was, I mean, really, that song only took about an hour to write total.
Then you guys bust out a second one.
and then he breaks out, this idea called Round Here Buzz that was kind of, the chorus was kind of shaped up. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Let's go. And so we wrote both of those songs, and that was, sort of what I call so far the luckiest day of my life so far.
I got a little
my music career.
Sample I'm gonna play.
Oh wow!
That was a little bit of your demo version, right? Of it.
Demo version.
Yep.
Did I send you that?
I found it on YouTube.
Oh whoa!
Yeah, there's it's on YouTube. There's that and Highway Vagabonds.
I wonder who and how. I
It
don't
was,
know. I don't even know.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link.
That's cool. I didn't. I had no idea it was out there.
This is the Miranda one I got. The one you had with Miranda.
That was the first song Natalie Hemby and I had ever written, which ended up being a cut on Miranda's record, and that was like the beginning of a real creative combination that has been extremely special to me too. Natalie is
I was gonna say I've seen a lot of you guys pairing up a lot together.
Yeah, we write a lot together, and then we do one show a year. We call it Dick Hemby, and the first time we played, it was in the basement. This club in town. It's like, I think it holds like 80 people, and we had it kind of full. It wasn't full, and then 3 years later or whatever, it's like, blown out on a weeknight, 700 people. And I was like, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. She's part of the Highwaymen now.
Yeah. I seen that, man. That's really cool what they're putting together over there for sure. Yeah, but I going back to like just hearing you perform like the little snippets that we had of the demos, you can hear the difference in them, and that's why I'm a huge fan of listening to like the songwriters version of it, hearing like their passion behind the song. And I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Singleton. I'm a big fan. I'm actually rocking a 50 Egg shirt tonight, but I love how he paints a picture. But like I'll hear like Chris Cagle and people cut his songs, but I feel like they don't do him justice. Like when I hear him sing them, and then when I heard your versions, it's like wow, it's so different.
Jonathan's great, and I don't know, it's like Jonathan was an artist. I've always, I never made it as an artist, but I'm always feel invested in what it is I'm doing. And when I'm writing songs, I try to be, I want to love it, even though it might not be something I would put on my record. I want it to be something that I'm proud of and that I'm artistically invested in some way, not just punching a clock and writing the best rhyme or whatever. And so, and when I do a demo, it's the same way, I'm trying to make something cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So I have a thing I do every week. It's called the hot seat. I do like a 60-second time question thing with 9 questions.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna throw on some background music real quick. And
okay, so this is fast, right? Is that
if we got them? If not, I normally allow a couple minutes for it. We normally take forever. All right, let's see. All right, what's your dream crossroads? So CMT Crossroads, 2 artists.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, I just lost the music. Oh well. We'll just run through it.
Crossroads. Okay, I don't know why I'm just like
living or dead.
Living or dead.
Yep. If you compare 2 artists that you want to see paired together.
Okay. Oh, geez. What about maybe like I was just thinking, I've been so into Jimi Hendrix lately, and I was trying to give him somebody. Jimi Hendrix and Jimi Hendrix and Beyonce.
Dude, that would be that's gonna be a fiance, but that'd be amazing.
Uh-huh.
That is like the totally like off the wall, but that would be really
it is off the wall. What would happen? She paired up with Jack White and it was really cool. What would happen if you had wild guitars like that? Or could Merle Haggard do something with
Freddie Mercury?
Oh my God, I don't think that would work. I don't think Merle would like that.
No,
I would love it.
That'd be awesome, though. Well, you're a huge Tom Petty fan too, huh?
I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. He's great. Let's see.
So we already died.
What would happen? What would happen? I mean, it's like I always loved "Don't Come Around Here No More." What would happen if Tom Petty and the Eurythmics?
Oh, dude. Yeah,
that would be super.
I was always a huge Supertramp fan. I would love to see them come back and do stuff again. I loved a lot of their stuff. I still jammed out to them.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of a good country one.
Someone just said Kurt Cobain and Johnny Cash.
Oh, that'd be amazing! Whoa, whoa,
that would be
great.
That would be a crazy one. That would be a good one. All right, the next one. Your favorite getaway location, man. If you had a week to get away, where are you going?
Jeez. I get sucked into this problem of going to the same places you've always been. But, I feel like right now, I kind of want to go to those. I kind of want to go to Iceland.
Nice.
Those hot springs.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
Iceland. That right now, it's so hot here already. I'm just like, let's get out of here.
Yep. I was gonna say those astronauts aren't looking too stupid right now either. They got the hell out of Dodge real quick. All right, your first cassette tape that you ever owned.
Wow, that's easy. Michael Jackson Thriller.
Nice.
That was spent my money on that, and then I had the luxury of my parents' tapes. My country music history was really the fringe country, like Marshall Tucker Band, and I had Hank Jr. and I would sneak Hank Jr. because he said ass in there a few times, and I thought I wasn't supposed to listen to that, but I would take it outside and listen to Hank Jr.
That is awesome. Mine was Patsy Cline and Vince Gill. It was kind of like my country.
That was your first tape?
Well, that was what my mom grew me up on that. My first tape was actually Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union, or whatever it was. Runaway Train on it. So I was born in the early '80s. So
got it.
But yeah, but my mom grew me up on Patsy Cline, Vince Gill. My dad was more Aerosmith and Pink Floyd.
All right.
So, all right, what was your first concert?
The Moody Blues with
Nice.
the Oklahoma City Philharmonic with my
Nice.
parents in the 7th grade. I was astounded. It was
I would
amazing.
not
I didn't
think-
get to go as nearly as many concerts as I wanted to go to growing up because I didn't have enough money. But it was a great first concert. I mean, it was really, really epic feeling.
That is awesome. So, what's your favorite venue you've ever got to play so far? Even if it's just a cameo, just came on and played a song. Like you just
I mean, I got to sing a song with Dirks at the Ryman. That was pretty amazing.
dude, right.
Pretty up there. He like sprung it on me 30 seconds before I was going to do it. He's like, "You're going to come up here and sing this with me." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Which one was it?
We sang "Burning Man."
Nice, man.
And my mom was there, so it was pretty cool.
What's your favorite Halloween costume you ever wore?
That's easy too. My mom, get this, she made me a devil costume, a little red devil costume. And we went to the to the church carnival, and I was dressed as the devil, and she was dressed as the Grim Reaper. Yeah. She was kind of tone deaf.
That is awesome.
We won the competition though.
Oh, that is so funny.
Those, yeah.
Right, you weren't banned from the church.
She eventually got banned, but that's another story.
That's a story for another time. What's one item that's still on your bucket list? Something you still want to achieve.
Achieve
or just something that you want to cross off the bucket list. We'll stick it to that.
Wow. I was thinking something natural, like do I want to see something in the wild? Do I want to see a silverback gorilla in the wild? That would be pretty amazing. This is a pretty easy one, attainable one, but it's like I would like to go see the Mayan ruins. I think that would be amazing.
That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool, really cool. I've always thought like different things for like I wanted to see or do. I'm like, one of these days I'll wait till I'm like in my 40s. I'll decide what I haven't accomplished at that point or what I haven't seen or something. Yeah. I'll go from there.
Sure.
All right, the last one song you wish you would have wrote.
Just any genre.
Yeah, anything out there.
I'm gonna give you two. I would say. Oh my God. I've been watching the Beatles anthology with my kid, which is the history of their band and everything. And it's so in depth and good. And I was like, whoa, what would it be like to write All You Need Is Love? That would be amazing. In country, I still stand by this. And it's not just because it's this show, but it's just like, I think that Springsteen is just one of the greatest songs of the past 20 years to me. It's like so great. It's a miracle of a song, and it feels so good and perfect and nostalgic without pandering, and it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. And you get a lot of the pandering here and there. But were you at you're talking about Bridgestone when he did the back-to-back nights? Were you at night 2 when they did all the American flags in the crowd during Springsteen?
No, I was the first night. I was there.
Okay. Yeah, they did that on night 2, and man, Eric I think Eric had tears in his eyes. He just stopped and looked, and as far as you could see in the crowd, man, fans had American flags everywhere.
That's
and it was
awesome.
Really cool. Like they surprised him with it, and because Eric's emotional when it comes to his fans, man. He puts them first.
I get it. I feel that when even with small crowds of 500, 200, whatever, when you go to towns and people are there to be a part of what it is, of the thing that you made, and it's not just yours anymore, and it's everybody's, and so, it's like you can feel that on many levels, and I can totally appreciate that.
I know Eric said a lot of times it's kind of like his kids. I mean, his music keeps it like boiled or kind of tight together until you kind of releases it out to everybody, and then it's everybody's. It's yours.
Yeah, totally.
So, and I kind of like how he does that. So, all right, man. Well, I know we're running a little late already, but that's all right. But if you don't mind, do you mind singing a couple of tunes for us? Dude?
Yeah, sure,
Right.
man.
So I definitely really would love to hear "Kill a Word" if you could do that for us.
Okay, cool.
I'd love to hear
got
your
something.
version.
Let me go grab something for you. I think you're gonna like this.
All right.
Hold on. So I wrote that riff on this guitar. It's just this 12-string Ibanez.
That's awesome.
I don't play it very often. It's hard to play, and I'm bound to mess this up. But it's a 12-string, and my uncle, when I started playing the guitar, I would go borrow it from him because I had an old Harmony guitar that it like fretted like a barbed wire fence. You know, it was so hard to play, and I couldn't take it, and I couldn't take it on a stage or anything. It would just didn't hold tune or anything, and so I would borrow this when I would do like, okay, the assembly. Can I play this? You know, me and this girl, Maddie Chapman, who would become my high school sweetheart, we would play whatever, you know, Cranberries, whatever she wanted, I would learn it.
Awesome.
And I would borrow this guitar, and then he gave it to me, and then I wrote "Kill a Word" on it, and then Jay Joyce's studio is a block away from where I live, and
Nice.
And Eric's like, "Come down here and play that part." So I just grabbed the guitar and just walked down there. I didn't put it in the case, and this is the guitar on the record and what I wrote the riff on.
So real quick before you do start, I do want to sidetrack and ask you one more question, because I asked this question last week to my guest. I had Chris Harris from Ashley McBride's band Dead Horse on. So working in Jay Joyce's studio, I've heard a lot of rumors and a lot of different pieces about the place being an old church and everything. How do you feel recording in that building? Like, how is it a different experience for you?
You know, I love it. Jay, I mean, I feel like I like him and he likes me. And so there's a comfort level there. And, you know, it's a comfortable place. I don't feel like it's oppressive or like boxed in, or that it's a place of it's not a place of pressure to me. I almost bought a house right across the street, and it's in a church. And I was like, I don't know if I want to buy this house. It's right across from a church. And there's going to be traffic out here every Sunday. You know, I don't want to deal with the traffic, but kind of find out, you know, a year later, I'd be walking down there with my guitar, you know, to play.
That's funny.
On a record, you know.
All right, man. I'm gonna go off for a second and give you the floor.
Here we go. If I could kill a word and watch it die, I'd poison never, shoot goodbye, beat regret when I felt I had the nerve. I'd pound fear into a pile of sand, choke lonely out with my bare hands, and then I'd hang hate so that it can't be heard. If I could only kill a word. I take brokenness out back and break heartbreak, stand there and laugh right in its face while shooting at the bird. I'd put upset down in its place, squeeze the life out of disgrace, lay over under 6 cold feet of dirt. If I could only kill a word. So give me sticks and give me stones, bend my body, break my bones, use staff and rod to turn me black and blue. Yeah, you can't unhear, you can't unsay, but if it were up to me to change, I'd turn lies and hate to love and true. If I could only kill a word. I'd knock out temptation's teeth, I'd sever evil Let it bleed, then light up wicked, stand and watch it burn. And then I'd take vice and I'd take vow, tie 'em up there with hostile, hang 'em high and leave 'em for the birds. If I could only kill a word. So give me sticks and give me stones, bend my body, break my bones. Use staff and rod to turn me black and blue. Yeah, you can't unhear, you can't unsay, but if it were up to me to change, I'd turn lies and hate to love and truth. If I could only get a word. Yeah, if I could only kill a word.
Love it, man. I love it. That song, I think, is so true, just with everything in the world right now, still to this day, man. And I mean, did you really think when you sat down and wrote that, was it your first number one?
It
Or
was
no?
actually like a number 5 or something, so it wasn't the first number one.
Oh,
Round Your Buzz
okay.
is number 1. No, man, you don't know anything, and you just write them and hope, and get a feeling, and then the machine of whoever the artist is takes it, and then you just keep your fingers crossed, and then it came out, and it was a single, and just felt so lucky.
I'm sorry, I wrote it down real quick. Round Here Buzz was the one that I think was number one, correct?
Mm-hmm,
He had it on that one, yeah. What was your first number one?
That was it.
It was Round
Buzz.
Here? Nice. It was a good song, because it was one of those songs that I think it really came alive during his live show.
Yeah, man.
Buzz,
I feel that.
Especially when he would put the light out and kind of search for the crowd, man. Like that was, he's bringing them in. So
Yeah.
So, but before we wrap up the live show and we move on to the after show, I kind of wanted you to kind of close this out tonight with a song from Red Dog, man. There's a song during the credits that I got it stuck in my head. I've been singing it all day, dude. And
good, man.
I have a little clip of it. Let's see. I've been singing that song all day. So I would love for you to close out with Polyester tonight, man.
Yeah. I wrote this song with Chris Dubois, and then me and Patrick Carney of the Black Keys produced it, and then Miranda came, and in the final version that we'll put out, Miranda's got a feature on it. So I'm excited about it.
Dude, that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. I grew up in a sea of red, all the dirt, the debt, and the cigarettes, and all the words that Jesus said, still in my heart, still in my head. Well, daddy's on the couch in a bush light coma, brothers on parole stuck in Oklahoma. 1,000,000 to 1, I wouldn't get my diploma, but there it is hanging on the wall. And I can hear him back home singing, hail, hail, trailer park hero, got a new car and a used tuxedo. Oh, hail, look at you now. You got your first comma in your bank account. Well, you made it out, but you're still in. We still remember when your mama was smoking in the 3rd trimester. Hey, you might wear leather, but you're made of polyester. Yeah, polyester. Now I got a nice house out in Tennessee. It ain't got wheels, but it's got AC. Mama's on the phone updating me. I guess sister won a raffle, got a new TV. Daddy's off the beer, now he's on to Dr. Pepper. Brother hit a deer, got it grilling on the Weber. 1,000,000 to 1, I wouldn't hit a gold record, but there it is hanging on the wall. And I can hear him back home singing, hail, hail, trailer park hero. Got a new car and a used tuxedo. Oh, hail, look at you now. Got your first comma in your bank account. Well, you made it out, but you're still in. We still remember when you were sitting in your room trying to learn Def Leppard. Hey, you might wear leather, but you're made of polyester. Yeah, oh, hell, oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Now I got a couple kids in the backyard swinging, light years away from my upbringing. The back of my head, I hear them back home singing. Uh-huh. Sing, hail, hail, trailer park hero. Got a new car and a used tuxedo. Oh, hell, look at you now. Got your first comma in your bank account. Well, you made it out, but you're still in. We still remember when you were sitting in your room trying to learn Def Leppard. Well, you might wear leather, but you're made of polyester. Yeah, not too shabby for a troubadour drifter. Yeah, you might wear leather, but you're made of polyester.
I love that one, man. That's the closing credits. Amazing. That song had to come easy when you were writing it. Did it?
That was a hard one, man.
Oh, was it?
Say, I mean, me and Chris, we work a long time, and he had there's some zinger lines in there, and he had a bunch of them, and I had a bunch of them too. But that one took a while, man.
It like you captured a lot of parts of the movie. I thought.
Yeah.
It
was
like a down home feeling.
He left, and he came back the next morning, and we knocked it out. So I was glad to. When is Polyester getting released? We're gonna put it out late summer, early fall with the whole soundtrack of the movie. So it'll be out soon.
That'd be really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share the link for everything will be in our show notes where you guys could find Red Dog. Definitely check it out. If that song is any inkling to what the movie is, you will definitely love the movie.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you spend some time with me. So tonight, it was definitely a good time to sit down, and we'll get you back here for a few more minutes, and in about 10 minutes or so, I'll shoot you another link, and we'll hook up for the after show and get you to play a few more tunes for us.
Sounds great.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night. We'll hook up here in a few minutes.
All right, bud.
Bye. Guys, that was amazing, amazing, amazing time. I cannot wait to hook up with him again here in a few minutes. We're going to be live on our Patreon after show. I want to say probably about 9:30. So I'll share the link again in the chat. I'll share the link with everything. But we are going to finish up with them over there on Patreon in about 15 minutes. So that'll give everybody a little bit of time if you guys want to jump on. And let's see. Someone said, I'm new to the Steve and Luke Dick bandwagon about a week ago. Miss Prince is brilliant. Great production, great grooves. He's amazing. We'll definitely. I'm sorry we're running a little bit tight on time there at the end. So amazing time though with Luke tonight, and I loved it. And if you guys had a good time, definitely go back and watch Red Dog. I'll share the trailer for it. I was gonna play it tonight, but due to everything that I had before, I don't want to lose feed or anything with Facebook, so I don't want to step on no toes or anything like that. So, but thank you guys for joining us tonight. Like I said, we will be going live about 9:30, 15 minutes with Luke over on our Patreon page. Click the link in the chat for Patreon. It starts with the $5 private sponsored tier and goes up. And it's been an amazing night, guys. Thank you again. It's been fun. I'm trying to read my notes. I don't even want to read my notes. I just want to get to the live show, the after show. Because, dude, we have some cool songs planned. So I was kind of going over some stuff with them. But guys, next week we're gonna have another amazing show, and I cannot wait. If you guys have followed my list of lineup, we're gonna have a good one next week. It's a fellow church choir member, and I cannot wait to interview Miss Sue DiLorenzo.
Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.